We're going to start with the lowdown where we talk all things Apple. We're going to kick it off with the latest and greatest in developer betas. Apple has seeded its third developer beta for iOS 15.5, iPadOS 15.5, watchOS 8.6, and tvOS 15.5. Like I said, this is the third update or the third beta release for iOS 15. It's a lot. And we know that they usually, when they do these seedings, they do it for pretty much all of the platforms. So if you are a developer and have an Apple developer account, you can head on over to the Apple Developer Center and get in on the beta where you can do the updates and test out the betas before they are released to the public. I'm not sure if there's anything that is astoundingly that stands out on these builds. Definitely you have to kind of download to check it out to see what it's all about. But I think this just gets us one step closer to the latest iOS that we're likely to see either being announced, probably not available during WWDC in June. But I think the major changes, if there are any, will be kept tight under wraps until WWDC. So that's probably where we'll at least get the first look. Whether it'll be available then, probably not, but I think it will give the folks who are Apple developers a chance to try and start to play with the new OS builds for each of these products.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about what's going on with 15.5. End users probably won't care. But developers, it seems like you mentioned, they're trying to tighten things up before the announcement of the next iOS which would be iOS 16.
16. Yep. So if you are one of those folks, send us a note. Let us know anything that might be of interest to us. I never, even though I have access, I never put the betas on mine because I'm like, I don't really care like that. But there are some people who wait with bated breath to get those betas and start to play around with them and see the compatibility or lack thereof with their apps that they are either currently building or have in the App Store already. Next up, Apple self-service repair is now available. When this was first announced, it was a huge departure from Apple's typical handling of getting your devices repaired. So now that the self-service repair store is launched, it says today, and today being August 27th, is now live. And it allows iPhone customers in the US to access parts and manuals if they want to repair their own devices. Now, key caveats to this self-service repair store. It only allows repairs for iPhone SE, iPhone 12, and iPhone 13 components. This includes display, battery, and camera replacements. So if you have anything outside of those three phone devices, then this is not going to be for you. Additionally, the Mac self-service, meaning laptops, computers, that is slated to come later this year. But if you are one of those folks who want to be able to repair your own devices, this gives you the opportunity to do that. One of the things that the article indicates that we're reading from 9 to 5 Mac is that the pricing isn't much different from actually taking your devices into the store, but the trade-off is you don't have to go to an Apple store. You don't have to leave your device. You don't have to wait for it to get repaired. You can do it at home anytime you want. But again, there is a trade-off to that. Do you want to pay for convenience? I know I do. But for those people who are heavy into breaking down devices and doing hardware type repair, this might be, it for you. Giving an example, iPhone 13 Pro display, they they sell a bundle, and the bundle is what, 269. There's also a bundle for battery replacements for $71. So it's the things where if you have a particular thing that is broken or needs repair, they will sell you a bundle in addition to renting you all the tools, so you don't have to necessarily purchase them outright if you don't want to, but you can rent tools for the week for about just under $50. So, as Brother Tech, Mr., iPhone, Apple, fix repair, what are your thoughts on the self service repair store?
I can definitely see it as a benefit. In addition to the things that you mentioned, you are getting good parts from Apple, screens, batteries, whatever the case may be, whatever parts you need, as opposed to taking it to like a third party, mom and pop shop or chain cell phone repair company. Who knows where they get their parts from? If you order them directly from Apple, they're going to give you quality parts. Apple has also announced repair manuals that are published for free. So you can get the instructions on how to repair your products directly from Apple versus searching on Amazon, searching on YouTube. I know a lot of people go on YouTube to try to find tutorials. 50-50 if, and that's being generous on whether or not you're going to find a website that actually, or a YouTube video that actually goes step by step, versus you can rest assured that Apple is going to have more detailed instructions that are specific to their own products, right? Now, that's all the good stuff. The negative is, I've said this before, be careful what you wish for. I think a lot of people have been pushing this right to repair, you know, forcing Apple's hand at making it more available or making it more feasible to repair your own products, because ultimately you can save some money and you don't feel like you're at the mercy of Apple, right? If you buy an iPhone, you want to feel like it's your product, and you should be able to do whatever you want to do, and Apple should make it as easy as possible for you to do whatever you want to do with your products. But again, be careful for what you wish for, because again, me being a person that has repaired phones, repaired electronics, it is not easy at all to repair an iPhone. Now, I don't know if this is just because the parts are small. The phones, we want the phones to be small. We want them to be sleek. We want them to be tiny, and all these things that comes at a cost. The parts are small, the pieces are small, and they have to compact all that stuff together. So taking a device apart and then trying to put it back together is not a easy task, specifically with iPhones, right? So you're an average Joe, quote unquote, non-tech savvy, non-hardware savvy person, you could decide, I want to change the battery in my iPhone 12. You buy the parts from Apple, you go to the instructions page and download the manual, and about 45 minutes in, you may decide this is too much. And then what are
This
you
is
going to
not for
do?
me.
Now, what are you going to do? Now you're
You
sitting
know,
here with a desk full of a bunch of pieces. You don't remember what went where, in what order, what screw, these and that. And now you are responsible. The benefit of letting Apple doing it, or the benefit of letting anybody do it, is that responsibility. Because it's, if you give it to somebody, Apple or authorized third party reseller or old boy in the middle of the mall, they are responsible for fixing your device. And if they don't fix it to your liking, they are responsible. If you decide on a Saturday afternoon to take your iPhone apart to replace the screen or replace the battery, and you lose a piece, or the piece that you bought broke, because that's very likely, and this happened to me before, you are responsible, so you have to be careful. While this is a good idea, I would definitely say this is not for the faint of heart. So you really want to make sure that this is something you want to do before you open up a $500, $1,000 device, because you feel like I should
It's
have,
easy. Anybody can do
or
it.
I bought it, so I should want to do whatever I want to do with it, right? Be careful. Be very, very careful.
Yep. And for our industrious and entrepreneurial listeners who think you want to be able to flip this into a little bit of your own business, I don't think that is the intention behind this. And I don't think Apple is going to make that easy for you. So
Well, it won't be.
you,
It may be easy, but it ain't gonna be profitable, because for you to turn a profit, you would have to charge, like, let's just say, like they said on the story that we're referencing, an iPhone screen costs $279. For you as a business owner to be like, hey, let me do this for you, you would have to charge like $350 to do
yeah,
this for an iPhone 12 or an iPhone 13. I think they mentioned an iPhone 13, so we'll just
yeah,
use
they
that.
did.
You'd
Yeah.
have to charge $350 to make it profitable and to make it worth your time, because this takes like an hour at the very least, right? And
Plus, it's also interesting to note that further down in the article, are instructions for if you decide to use this. So, first, you as a customer or you as the would be entrepreneurial of this repair service, you would have to read the repair manual for the product that you want, and then you would have to indicate that you read the manual on the self-service website and order the necessary parts. And each of the parts are tied to the IMEI number of the device that you are intending to repair.
right,
So you can't just go and, say,
buy a
let
bunch
me
of
order
parts.
6, iPhone 13 screens, 5 iPhone 12 batteries. That is not going to work. You're going to actually have to have the device with the number before
Before
you
you
can
order
even
parts.
order it.
And you
Right.
can still do that. And even if that's the case, I mean, like, if people just trusted me, Brother Tech, and said, hey, I know this is your thing, I know you're interested in it, I'll pay you $350, however much, to send it to you, right? Again, it has it me making a business of that would be tough, because the whole point of doing this is to buy in bulk, like you mentioned, and get the parts for cheaper. So if I go to Apple, let's just say argumentative, and I say, hey, I want to buy 5 of these screens at $279, even if that was feasible. Like Nica mentioned, you can't even do it because the parts are tied to the IMEI. You know, I'm going to Apple and saying, hey, I'm buying 10 of these things. I want a discount. So instead of you charging me $279, why don't you charge me $240? And then I can go to Nica, or I can go to anybody and say, hey, if you trust me, you don't want to deal with Apple, you want to help a brother out, support a black owned business, whatever the case may be, charge me $350 to fix that. Again, you can't do it. And two, even if you tried, that is extra effort on my part, because I have to order the part that's specific to your device.
Right.
So a business
And it's
person,
just and then it's not that much more to just take it to an Apple store where you know for sure that it's going to be done right and it's going to be done quickly.
right?
Yeah.
So like I said, this is a good idea. Um, and even more so than a good idea, I think this quells the people who were upset at Apple and pushing the right to repair, because Apple says, "Look, now I've given you all the tools, I've given you
This
all
is
the
what you
resources.
wanted.
Now the other part is, now you got to actually do it." And I think when
Right.
most of those right to repair people actually do it, they're like, this ain't all that it was cracked up to be.
And I'm interested to know, so say you decide to do this and you crack open your phone and you start the work and you're like, I can't do this. Can you still take it to the Apple store for them to fix it?
I guarantee they'll be like,
I would say
no,
no,
because
because they asked you if you read the manual before you proceeded to even order anything, and you said yes. You
and that
said
goes with
that you
anything.
read this and you can do this.
And that goes with anything. If I decide I want to fix my lawnmower and I take it apart and then I say, forget this, I'm gonna take it to the lawn service dude and say, here, fix my lawnmower. And I'm like, what is this? And then I put it together and I do fix it, and then I give it to you and something goes wrong,
Then you trying to blame me
you try to blame me. And I can't guarantee, I as a repair person can't guarantee
until
that I'm
you my
going to get
word.
it in running condition when I wasn't handed it. It wasn't
Yeah,
handed to me in this shape, I mean, in this
yeah,
situation, right? So
right.
there's whole legality and
Yeah.
responsibility and things of that nature, so
So
yeah.
basically, if you decide to do this and you crack open your phone, just know you volunteered a tribute. You out there on your own by yourself, and you either got to figure it out or just buy a whole new device. If you get yourself into the situation where you out there
But
on the
on the flip
ledge.
side, this is a good challenge, a very good challenge. And who knows, you may, fix your phone, and, there's nothing like that satisfaction of you doing it yourself.
Yeah.
That may embolden you to get more into technology, get in more into hardware, you know, take other challenges that you normally wouldn't, because this is definitely, take my word for it. Fixing an iPhone is definitely a challenge.
So if anybody decides to take this on, we would love to hear your experience with the self-service repair store. So if you
I'm not gonna
do
do it. And
if
I've
you do
fixed
read the
phones
manual,
before. Forget that.
if you do decide to enter into the vortex and and do this repair yourself, we would love to hear what your experience is, whether you're successful and you're like, I am He-Man, hear me roar, or whether you're like, you know what, dog, I got in here and it was not what I thought it was going to be. We would love to hear either perspective because I think it is an interesting concept, especially after all of the, I won't say hate, but after all of the bombardment that Apple has gotten from fans of Apple and detractors of Apple saying, why don't you let people fix their own devices because they pay for it, it's theirs. So once we're maybe 6 months into this self-service repair, I would love to see, what the discourse is, how it's changed over, that period of time for folks. So it'll be interesting to see, I think. Last up in the lowdown, patents. Patents. Apple has added a pair of mixed reality headset patents to their portfolio. As you know, we've talked about the whole AR, VR, Apple glasses that has been rumored to be launched by Apple possibly this year. My prediction was this year. It looks like, according to Patently Apple, they got some new trademarks. One trademark, I mean, not trademark, patent. One patent covers the head mounted device faceplate, which uses infrared one way mirror finish. The patent indicates that it's like headwear similar to sunglasses or ski goggles. Think Oculus. And it uses protective coating that makes it look like a one-way mirror. This way, a user can wear one of them and you won't be able to see their eyes. So that is the first patent. The second patent covers the charging of this goggle headset deal. I think they're calling it HMD. So this would include a display unit, a power storage device, and receiving coils. And the receiving coils of this kind of package would be for charging the headsets. So, you know, the Apple glasses, Apple headset, whatever you want to call it, has been rumored for quite a while. Whether we'll see the headsets, I think we will. I hope we see them this year because that was on my predictions, and I would love to be right about that. It looks like Apple is really making some headway into bringing this type of tech to the forefront. Any thoughts?
Probably the details, not necessarily the whole ideal. I think what they're doing, I don't know how Oculus or Meta headsets charge. I don't know if you have to plug them in. I don't know if they
You
have
have to
like
plug them in
dock.
with a USB C.
Okay.
I have a set, and the charge is horrible. You
Right.
use it one
So
evening and it's done.
right. So it looks like Apple is trying to step that up a notch, and the receiving coil sounds like wireless charging. You'll be able to place them in a specially made dock or be able to place them on a surface and do wireless charging. So, again, Nika, you
Air
mentioned
Power Mat's back.
the Apple is trying to be the forefront when it comes to charging devices. So they're trying to do this with their head mounted device. I think that's what they call HMD. But other than
Yep.
that, it's just Apple. Sounds like them protecting or future proofing their IP if they do go forward and actually make an AR/VR headset. Um, I could see Apple doing it. Again, I don't think it'll be anytime soon. Simply because there's not enough use case out there right now. You can exercise, you can play games, you can watch movies, but other than that, there nobody. The demand is not so much so to where Apple is like, all right, y'all got to get in the game. Just how are we going to make it better, right? I don't think that's the case for overall virtual reality or augmented reality headsets. So it sounds like Apple, whenever they do decide, all right, we'll make one, they'll already have the patents in place to where they're not worried about running up against patent trolls when they actually do release something.
So I'll have to say I really do like the Quest headsets. The games and stuff are really fun. I would love to see the Apple tech and the Apple environment implementation of these headsets because again, while I like the Oculus and it is, entertaining or whatever, there are some things I would definitely change, and there are definitely some things where I could see the way Apple does things would be, a pretty big improvement over the way it's done now. And I see it as one of those things where because even though Meta is huge, everybody knows it. There's nothing like people wanting to get into gaming with Apple. We've seen it with Apple Arcade. We've seen it with, I think when the Mac Studio came out, there were some game developers that were using the studio to actually build out their gaming systems. So to kind of have, this all-encompassing environment where you could do the development on Apple devices and actually have your product on them as well. I think the amount of games and the basic, the virtual world that you're in, I think it will be, on par with the way Apple does most things. And I would love to see it personally.